investing in yourself always pays you back. And that can be in a very, very marginal way. You don't have to be rich to invest in yourself.
Kristina Scaglione, you lead with innovative, holistic innovation, brain wellness, a fierce commitment to healing, LGBTQIA plus advocacy, guiding your clients, holding trauma, grief, and anxiety towards healing and personal growth. You're a trauma-informed therapist, clinical director, and founder of Root and Rise Clinical Specialists and Limited Integrative Wellness, which is the home of the Mind Spa, a groundbreaking collective redefining therapy and wellness. You practice the mental wealth care, which you will talk to us more about, and you integrate evidence-based psychotherapy with holistic, creative, and somatic techniques. Welcome, Christina, and thank you for leading by example on WeCan. Talk to us about the innovative ways that you approach mental health and overall well-being.
Well, thank you for having me, Stephanie. I appreciate you asking me to be on your show today. So yeah, I have Limitless Integrative Wellness that is partnered with Root and Rise, and how that works as a therapist and as a client. Let's say you come in and you have some goals that are more comprehensive than what, let's say, one-to-one talk therapy would be able to address. I help guide that client into making the connections in Limitless and Integrative Wellness's umbrella of how we can enhance your goals or enhance your desires. So let's say you come in and you see me and you say, I really wish that I had a better understanding of nutrition, or I wish I had a better fitness routine, or I wish I had, someone to help guide me on organizing those two things, and maybe even have vitamins included. Sometimes, especially in the new year, I have a lot of individuals that want to start off the year strong with a complete overhaul of a health approach. So I have those individuals here that can help guide outside of my general understanding about those particular topics. I've got a personal trainer here. I have a nutritionist. I have a vitamin supplement person. I have a vitamin IV infusion person. I have, Reiki, massage, lymphatic drainage, all these different types of services, technically under one roof.
Yeah.
And from there, individuals are able to make those connections, make those appointments, and outside of the talk therapy are able to, I'll say, partner those up with our treatment.
Christina, it sounds amazing. And it sounds exactly like the thing that I've always imagined, because I've done talking therapy for decades. And often you get to a position where you think I've done it for, enough time. What else? And what can I combine it with? And it's not really something that we're doing very well in combining the different modalities to support people. So talk to us more about the concept of the Mind Spa and what happens when someone walks in.
They're mesmerized by what we have here. So when someone walks in, one of the first things they say is they feel that they're at peace, and it's a very calming place to experience right from the beginning of entering our doors. I would say the Mind Spa concept came up with, essentially, I was getting these questions asking me what is different between a med spa and what I'm doing. And I said, well, a med spa addresses physical aspects of our body and aesthetic features that might need to be, in this person's opinion, they might want that altered and they might want things changed. We wanted to go onto a deeper level. So we do have some aesthetic features here. We do have some aesthetic treatments, but it's not a it's not a medical type of procedure. So we wanted to go more than skin deep, right? So the Mind Spa concept is marrying spiritual, mental, and physical all together. So when we're able to marry those three things, we can treat the whole person and their entire life environment, and not just a presenting crisis or a presenting concern or a trauma that they might be coming in with. So let's say they do their work with me and I'm dealing with the emotional aspect of it, or my team is addressing that aspect. I have a team that can address the spiritual layer, and I have a team that can address the physical layer, and that could be metabolically or it could be strengthening. So we have people in every lane that would say, I think of it like a relay race. I have one part of it, and I race that person over to that next person. We hand off the baton, and then that next person goes with that particular clinician until they get to the next person, and then they just keep picking up, and then they do a full circle. So everybody works collaboratively together here under one roof, and they also provide virtual services, so you don't have to physically be in New York to benefit from this. So almost every single provider, because of COVID, had to develop a hybrid approach to their business in order to stay in business. So because of that, we just kind of kept that model of providing as much and as many hybrid services as we can. So even your fitness goals can be done from home in a calisthenic type of approach with this particular trainer, or if you have some weights at home and things like that, she can teach you how to use your body as a weight or use very minimal equipment so that you don't actually have to physically go to her gym, which is like right over there. So we also have a harmonic egg who does light and sound therapy, and it sounds kind of like a spaceship when I describe it, but it's like a 18-foot by 10-foot carved wooden egg that you can sit in a big lazy boy chair, and then she sets a frequency of hertz music and light to be able to help calibrate whatever it is that you're working on. She's got settings for everything. She's not physically in the space, she's across the street, just because that egg is so huge, and it takes a lot of money and a lot of manpower to move. But she also does virtual sound therapy, which is not something that most people understand or know that exists. So most of my clinicians here are able to do that outside of massage and an actual vitamin IV. Everything else can be done virtually. So the way that we approach it is I would say a whole person and a whole environment approach.
Christina, so someone comes in and says, I have trouble with, I don't know, sleep. And then you will integrate all the different modalities to support this person.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about the main learnings from having such a holistic approach.
Well, first we have to rule out what's happening with that individual about their sleeping condition. Why are they not experiencing sleep well? Is it a life change that occurred? Is it a trauma that occurred? Is it a medical condition? So as a therapist, I already go through a battery of ruling out if it's medical, if it's not, if it's psychological, or if it's a combination of the two. We use our team to try to assess that. So I go through my intake process of trying to understand how this person lives their day-to-day life, and what is it that they do to support their own sleep hygiene. In addition to that, how is it that they're still experiencing these issues? Have they tried anything? And what is it that they have tried? And where is it that we can fill in the gaps? And then we also have other clinicians that can take them to the next level. So I have a concierge-like medical doctor here who can go through anything medical that might be going on for that person. We have connections at sleep labs that people can get sleep studies done. We have a hypnosis therapist here who can do like a hypnotic trance to try to understand if there's something blocking them. We also have a hormone specialist if it's something else that's related to that. So we have a bunch of different ways in which we can feather through what might be happening for that individual.
Christina, so what advice would you give to all of us? And I'm sure most listeners, there's always something niggling. How can we have a more balanced sort of wellness idea around physical, mental, and spiritual wellness?
I think most people prioritize physical wellness over mental because I think they feel it's more tangible and more addressable.
Yeah.
What I think there might be a change in course in a good way, and that we're changing the way that we look at things. Our mental health contributes to our physical health and vice versa. They're symbiotic. So we have to treat all things for any one particular thing to enhance. So your physical health and your ability to heal those parts of your body are only enhanced when you handle and address your mental health as well, because it's not often looked at as the same as a broken arm, but it should be, which is where mental wealth care kind of came in as far as our coined term, because
talk to us about that.
Nobody has any, it doesn't seem like people have any disconnect when it comes to investing in, their bank accounts, their job and their career and personal growth, in that sense of having financial stability, specifically around money and investment, stocks, accounts that accrue interest, that doesn't seem like there's a disconnect. If we were to explain how that would work, how can you invest your money so that it works for you. That's not
Mm.
a concept that people are lost on. But mental health should be looked at the same way. So when you invest in yourself, it will always pay you back. And long-term therapy is a life investment because it helps you optimize every area of your life. People, I think, have an assumption that talk therapy is you just sit on a couch and you talk to somebody and they don't help, they just listen. We have a little bit more of a proactive approach. It's collaborative because what you give to me, I help support you in your goals. So it's more of a relationship where we're on a team instead of you just coming in and dumping what happened to you that week on my lap.
Yeah, I think it sounds amazing. Christina, you've worked a lot with the LGBTQIA plus community. What are your insights around that?
It's a community that's widely underserved in our nation.
Mm,
Uh, I would say even more so now with the change of administration. And
definitely.
I think that because there's such a high suicide rate in that community and such little ability to find resources that are affordable, it's been a mission of mine to try to bring that care to those individuals across multiple states, which is why we're licensed in
Mm,
more than one state,
mm,
to try to help individuals get the care that they need, because not everybody can treat that particular population because they don't really have an understanding of what they face as a marginalized community.
yeah. Christina, and you also have a criminal justice background, right? You've
I
been a
do.
mentor for troubled youth. And so
Yes.
talk to us a little bit how that informed your holistic approach.
Well, I would say I got into that in undergrad a long time ago, and I've always had an ability to connect with people really easily, and that is including people that would be, let's say, on the fringe of society, including troubled youth. And it's always just been it's easy for me to talk to people that feel that they are misunderstood. And so, with that being said, I took that particular training and I kind of did a forensic approach in my early career in social work. And I worked with a mandated population, which means that after they got out of jail, they were required to come see me for a certain amount of time. Sometimes it was 32 weeks, sometimes it was 10 years, depending on what the
Wow.
crime was. And so, and that those types of offenses were wide range, mostly domestic violence and sexual abuse. So, I worked with that population for a number of years. And now in my private practice, I'm usually on the call list for court reintegration therapy. That's kind of how it
Mm,
evolved now over the last
mm,
15 years. So
mm,
if a family is split up because of domestic violence or divorce, and there's a parent that wants to reunify with the children, I'm the one that helps that happen because I not only do I understand the kid's perspective and the court's perspective of trying to reunify, but I understand what violence and crime can do to a family. So I work with a lot of people that are in and out of that type of system. That's a different section of my business.
I understand. Christina, so I want to get a little bit to the bottom of it. Talk to us a bit about that journey that got you to where you are today, where you are really championing a very holistic model that isn't really I mean, I've seen a few places like that, but not many. And I've interviewed 600 people, right? So
Wow.
I always think I have
Wow.
heard of models like that, but it's
Yeah.
so rare still. And it's really what I feel with all the things that I had to sort of heal, that is the only way to actually heal, because trauma is stuck in your body. And if you don't look at the whole system, it often just it doesn't
It gets
really
overlooked.
transform someone's life.
Yeah, you could get stuck in a repetition compulsion where you think that if you do this, if you can get into the same situation and do something a little differently, you'll have a different result, but you're not really addressing the core trauma and the core belief, which core beliefs really play a huge role in success in therapy and success in health.
Yeah.
So I would say that's kind of where it started, was helping clients change their core belief value system. I saw early on in my career that people would come in and say, "Oh yeah, like I hope that this is going to help, but what I end up uncovering is that they don't really believe that they can live a better life. They don't really believe that they deserve peace and wellness, and they don't deserve to have a better experience. So they feel that this is almost penance, depending on their background. It could be a series of I'll say cultural differences that would probably compound that thought, or societal beliefs that they don't have the ability to change, that they're hoping therapy just puts a band-aid on a gaping wound that's not being addressed. So I've always been a digger. So I would say that when I'm with my clients, I really try to get to the root cause of what it is that's keeping them stuck. And so with that, I started to utilize context I already had in the community that I've used for myself. And so this Limitless Integrative Wellness started with people that colleagues and friends that I've worked with personally, that I said, well, I've tried it, and I'm not going to suggest something to you, Stephanie, that I've never tried. So, and if I haven't tried it, let's go on the journey together so that we can both learn, so that maybe it helps other clients that I have that have similar problems. That's always been my model of uncovering things and what's already existing in your life that could help you. And then how can we enhance that? So all these referrals that I was making outside of my office that were helping my clients feel better in between sessions, plus it was making them easier to do their work with me. So if you have a stomach problem, I'll give a quick example without naming any names, but I had a client who had a stomach condition that was developed from work stress. He went to several practitioners that told him they didn't know what it was. And I said, that can't be. That can't, how did you have all these terrible symptoms? Your stomach is inflamed like a bowling ball. There's got to be something that's going on. And every specialist kept pointing fingers at different specialists. Long story short, I sent him to somebody who does nutrition response, which is muscle testing around what your body needs without having to do anything invasive. It's all supplement based, and it's all food based supplements, which means that they're very safe and organic to use, and things that you can already find in most foods, but not clean. So you end up supplementing what you can't get from your regular diet from these supplements. So within 6 months, he had a proper diagnosis of SIBO. It was a bacteria growth in his stomach that was creating extra gas and swelling. And once he got that under control, he saw that the link of that SIBO reaction was from the work stress and work environment he was in, which made our work better to be able to resolve for him. As he revamped his life and his diet and his lifestyle, he ended up remembering, because he wasn't suffering anymore, other interests that he had. Then he goes on to develop his own company and stops working for the company that made him sick. This is over a course of 3 years, but he ends up working for a company that he's always dreamt of working for, that he created, which he didn't have the bandwidth or mental space to think about because he had all these other things that weren't being addressed. And in his world, he was doing the steps that he needed to find help, but wasn't getting it. So he sat with me. I referred him to one person who worked out of a tiny office up the road. She did a program with him for 6 months. He finally felt relief. And then with that relief, our work expanded. And then he was able to think outside of the box about what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. That's a really watered down version of everything that happened in 3 years, but that's the gist.
Yeah, but what an inspiring story, right?
Right.
Kristina, so yeah.
No, I was just going to say that my clients and the referral system that I've used became a pipeline to enhance my clients' results based on whatever presenting issue it was. And then fast forward through COVID, I found a space a year ago that was large enough that we could all collaborate and co-work together, and they can all maintain their businesses and practices wherever they were on the island, wherever they were in the country. They could all keep their businesses how they were, and then they would come in for appointments and for evaluations and to work together as a team to address people's issues. That's where the co-working space became a reality.
Amazing, Kristina. And you obviously can service people in the New York area, but you can also service people from around the world who think this is
Correct.
resonating with them.
Yes, anywhere.
So what does success look like for you, Kristina?
It looks like helping others. If I'm able to be of service, that feels like success to me. And if I can help you find success in your life, the borrowed benefit of me helping you is I get to see you shine, and it makes me feel good that I helped you do that. So I would say I don't know the exact term, but it's when the water rises, all boats rise with it.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. That's how I feel.
Yeah. What do you feel motivates you most, inspires you?
I would say injustice motivates me. So yeah, when I see a problem, I immediately want to understand it, and I want to see if I can find a solution, and I want to understand why it exists. So that's a motivator for sure.
And what kind of a leader are you?
I would say I'm an honest, direct leader. I lead by example. I don't want to suggest something I've never tried. And if I've never tried it, I'd like to test it out first before I tell people that they can trust it.
Yeah. If you had to give me some sort of top three parenting tips, we have a real loneliness epidemic. We have a lot of young people that are suffering. What would you tell parents? What are
My
the
kids are
first things to do?
my kids would probably tell you what I've always told them, which is sleep hygiene is extremely important.
Mm,
And in order to have that, I don't have it near me right now, but you need to reduce technology. And I'm not against technology. I'm not against using technology to either educate or even to temporarily soothe a child, because I know there's a lot of overwhelmed parents out there, and sometimes the TV is easiest or the iPad is easiest. So I'm not judging anybody for that. But having tech limitations are extremely useful. And understanding what's going on in your child's life by understanding what's going on in their virtual world is extremely important. So my kids, they're now almost adults. So I have one in college and one is graduating this year. But they will tell you that I was definitely a pain in the butt when they were in middle school and in early high school, because I had monitoring features on their phones, and I was very transparent about it. My kids, we didn't keep secrets in the house. I told them exactly what we were doing and why, and I explained why they had certain limitations, and I explained why they had certain monitoring, because even though 9 out of 10 times it's benign, there's always that chance that you have a predator on the phone. And so technology is not, it's not evil, but it's important that you know what's going on in your kid's life with respect, and understand you teach your children respect and boundaries and self-love by the way that you handle this particular topic. So I would say that's a parenting tip. Which helps their sleep hygiene to not have technology in the room. So remove devices so that they can sleep without interruption. And diet. Diet's really important. You know, I know not everybody can have access, and they don't always have privilege to have really healthy, clean food. But if you're able to, do that as often as you're able to. Cook as much as you're able to within your budget. You know, try to find the healthiest option within whatever means you have.
So what are your plans and goals, Christina, for 2026 and beyond?
Well, I would like to educate everybody about what we do.
Yeah.
I would like to become a household name as far as Limitless Integrative Wellness. I want people to understand that access to care does not have to be hard. So that is the point of why we're trying to do as much hybrid, or as many hybrid options as possible, and educate as many people as we can that just because someone says you can't doesn't mean it's true. So we want to try to myth bust as much as possible. There's a lot of misinformation out there about wellness. There's a lot of people posing as certified specialists and coaches, and it's technically, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but it's a very Wild West situation out there, and you really should do your research about who you're working with.
Definitely. So how can we support you?
Like, comment, subscribe, follow whatever you can to our accounts, and keep up with our happenings, and spread the word. Let people know that even if you're in rural Minnesota, you can still work with us.
And what takeaways would you like our listeners to have from your story, Christina, if you had to sum it up?
Investing in yourself always pays you back. And that can be in a very, very marginal way. You don't have to be rich to invest in yourself.
Christina, I'm very inspired by your model. I'm inspired by you. What do you need, the listener? What do you need to invest in yourself? And look up Limitless Integrative Wellness. And Kristina Scaglione, thank you for being on WeCan. And we would love to encourage everyone to invest in themselves and to look them up.
Absolutely. Thank you.